can't simplify all the way. So in this case, it's the square root of 2. All right, now we're going to look at question 11. So for question 11, what do we need to do first? So we get 2x squared minus 16x equals negative 22. Divide everything by 2. So what is 2x squared divided by 2? X squared. What is negative 16x divided by 2? Equals, what is negative 22 divided by 2? Okay, from here we actually have to complete the square. So we're going to take our b term. What is our b term? And divide it by 2. Then, so what is negative 8 divided by 2? Positive 16, because whenever we square something, it becomes positive. So we add it to both sides. Now, we have a perfect square trinomial that we can factor. What multiplies to give you 16, but adds to give you negative 8? Minus 4. So we get x minus 4 squared equals, what is negative 11 plus 16? 5. Okay, then we take what? So we get x minus 4 equals positive, negative. Can I take or simplify the square root of 5? So we just bring it down. Am I done? No. What do I do? So we get x is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of 5. Yes?
If we wrote plus or minus root 5 plus 4, would that be the same? Or
That's fine. I just prefer it whenever your number goes in front because it's less likely to be any confusion there.
okay.
Yep. And that's like the correct mathematical way to write it, is putting the number in front. All right. Now, I want y'all to do 9 and 12 for me, please.
Is it negative 1 on both sides? Okay, 4 multiplies by negative 1 from negative 2 divided by 2 square. Negative, you know you have to square the so negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 squared is 2.
All right, once we get number 9 set up, okay, once we get everything moved around, we move our C, divide by A, okay, let's do the completing the square part real quick together. So if we look at our B term, which is negative 2, okay, we do negative 2 divided by 2 squared. What is negative 2 divided by 2? What is negative 1 squared? positive one. A negative and a negative is a positive. Whenever you square something, it becomes positive. Okay, so we're going to add 1 to both sides. Okay, now to write this in factored form, what multiplies to give us 1 but adds to give us -2? So we write it as x minus 1 squared equals, what is 4 plus 1? Yes. Yes. And then what do I do from there?
Square root.
So we get x minus 1 equals positive negative. Can I take the square root of 5? Can I simplify it? So I just write it down. All right, what do I do from there? So we have x is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 5. And that is all we got to do. All right, if you haven't done number 12 yet, go ahead and start working on number 12.
No. It's only the other side of the hall, actually.
Just that one? Or is it that one? Or is it that one?
This one right next to the classroom isn't, but the one next, like, if you go.
So next to the cafeteria it is?
No. You know the back way that connects that hall and this hall? The water fountain closest to the, when you're coming into the other hall, that one is the one.
I don't think you have to.
I know, but I can't just not drink water though.
You can.
Get you a giant jug.
Or bring little.
See, I tried that and I was trying to do all my sports bike, but it's not so bad.
All right. For number 12, what do I do first? So we have 4x squared plus 40x equals 12. Then what do I do? Divide everything by 4. So what do we get when we divide everything by 4?
25 plus 25 plus 3.
What is 12 divided by 4?
3.
Okay. Now, we are going to go ahead and we're going to do the completing the square step. So we take our b term, divide it by 2, and square it. So what is 10 divided by 2? 5. What is 5 squared? So that is what we add to both sides. So now this is something that is a perfect square trinomial, so we can factor it. What multiplies to give you 25 but adds to give you 10?
5.
So we write x plus 5 squared equals, what is 3 plus 25? All right, now we take,
The square root of 1.
so we get x plus 5 equals positive negative. Can I take the square root of 28?
No.
Can I simplify it? What's the biggest perfect square that goes into 28? So we can split it into the square root of 4 and the square root of.
7.
So what does that give me if I simplify that?
2.
All right, from there, what do we do?
The subtract 5.
And x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus 2 root 7 is our answer. Okay, so that is what we do when we have irrational solutions. Now, it is basically the exact same thing when we have complex solutions. Okay, the only difference is when we have a complex number, okay, that is meaning that it is going to have some part of it that is imaginary. Okay, so that means our answers will have I. So remember, we get I from what? Square root of negative 1. Okay? So anytime we have the square root of a negative, our answer is going to have I in it. Okay? So we're going to go ahead. We're not going to do 13 together, but we are going to do 14 together. Okay, so let's do number 14. So for number 14, what do we need to start with doing here? So we get x squared minus 4x equals negative 8. Then what do? So I get x squared minus 4x equals negative 8. Now it is time to complete the square. So what do I do to complete the square? What is negative 2 divided by 2? And what is negative 2 squared? Positive 4. So we add 4 on both sides. Now, this is a perfect square trinomial now. What multiplies to give us 4 but adds to give us negative 4? So we do x minus 2 squared. Now, what is negative 8 plus 4? It is negative 4. Okay. Then we take our square root. Get x minus 2 is equal to positive negative. Now, that is the same thing as the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 4. What is the square root of negative 1? And what's the square root of 4? So it would be positive negative 2i. And then what do I do? Yep, it goes 2 plus or minus 2i. To the end of it. Yeah, you just have to be careful with that. Because I don't want y'all to mess anything up there. A lot of times with these, what ends up being wrong isn't necessarily like the part that you would consider the harder part. It's like writing your answer that ends up getting messed up. All right, but I do want us to go ahead and we're going to look at the back. Now, on the back, we are just not going to do question 16. Okay, so we can mark that out. So 16 ends up being a little weird, and there's a better example of what 16 is trying to show you that doesn't have the weirdness to it, right? So we're going to go ahead and look at 15 and 18 together, okay? For 15, what should I do first for 15? So we get 2x squared plus 8x equals negative 13. Now what do I do? Now, we get x squared plus 4x equals, can I divide negative 13 by 2? No. Okay, we're just going to leave that as a fraction, just like that. Not worry about it. Okay, now we complete the square just like normal. So what do I do to complete the square? 4 divided by 2 squared. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. What is 2 squared? That is what gets added to both. Now, this is a perfect square trinomial. We can factor it to what? X plus 2 squared. Equals, now use your calculator to tell me what that is. You are not strong with fractions?
Negative 5.
Mm-hmm. And now we are good to solve by square roots. So we're going to take the square root of both sides.
Is it just negative 1 times 5? Negative 5.
Yeah, I want to show you what it is. So we get x plus 2 equals, so it's still going to be positive negative. When we look at this, that is the same thing as saying the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 5 divided by the square root of 2. So what's the square root of negative 1? Can you take the square root of 5?
No.
Can you take the square root of 2? So it is just the square root of 5 over 2. So it will be I times the square root of 5 over 2. And then to finish that, what do I do?
Subtract 2.
So x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus I times the square root of 5 over 2.
For the natural algebra, 13 over 2 times 4 plus 4. Wait.
How did that become negative 5 over 2?
I think I was doing plus 4.
Or it is negative 13 over 2 plus 4. right there. Because 4 is the same as saying 8 over 2.
I was doing minus 1.
All right, now, okay, we're going to look at question 18 together. So for question 18, what do I start with? All right, so 4x squared plus 4x equals negative 5. Then what do I do? So we get x squared plus 1x equals negative 5 over 4. All right, so we are still going to complete the square here, okay? So what term do I use to complete the square? The 1, the b, okay? So we do 1 divided by 2 squared. Can I write that any simpler than 1/2? No. Okay, so now we're going to square 1/2. What is 1 squared? What is 2 squared? So what is 1/4? So we're going to add 1/4 to both sides. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, how on earth is she expecting me to factor that? Okay? I'm not necessarily expecting you to factor it. There is a trick you can use to factor that when it is a perfect square trinomial. We just found what is going to go in here with our x. And it is what we get when we divide b by 2. That right there is what goes right there. Those two things are always the same. Those will always be the same. Okay? So,
Is it because that has a square root?
okay, so it's because in order to create a perfect square trinomial, the middle term of a trinomial ends up trying to think of the way to say it. So, whenever you have a perfect square trinomial, the first term and the last term are both whatever is in here squared. Okay? The middle term of that trinomial is made up of, when it's a perfect square trinomial, it is made up of yeah, it's a weird way to say it, and I'm trying to think of the best way to say it, and I'm not doing a good job of it.
It's okay. Let's move on.
Okay. We'll come back to that. What is negative 5/4 plus 1/4?
Negative 1. But then you square it.
Then we square root both sides.
So it turns into I.
So it is just I. So we get x plus 1/2 equals positive negative I. Then what?
Subtract that. 1/2.
So x is equal to
Negative 1/2
1/2 plus or minus I. All right. I want y'all to go ahead and do 13 and 17 for me real quick. Yes.
was like, no. Are you serious? You just there. I don't really know shit. I just know it happens when you upset my hair.
I don't like it.
I just
Oh my gosh, that's like, that's a geriatric.
geriatric in my hair. Like I could. It was like.
That's what we're
Caring for elderly people now. It was so bad.